Okay, here's the next build project I'm working on. This is an American Eric Clapton Fender Stratocaster body. My buddy the skipper gave it to me. If you guys are familiar with him on some of my prior videos, he had this body on a Eric Clapton Stratocaster that went through an apartment fire and the paint got melted a little bit, but him and I took this heat gun to it and we peeled the paint off of it. It looks great. This body is extremely smooth, and thought about not painting it and just putting a neck on it and calling it a day, but I'm going to do a paint scheme on this guitar. If I don't like it, I can always take the heat gun to it again and remove the paint. Not a big deal. We've got us a Ping Fender bridge. It's a nice quality Ping with a big block. Trying to work on a budget, a little bit of a budget here, but high quality parts. Got a Mighty Mite neck with Fender tuners on it. Got a pick guard here that's going to give a little bit of a theme of an idea of what I'm going to do with this thing. And all the parts over here, some of these things I already had in my parts drawer. I've had got the pots, got some nice pots and some transistors or capacitors, not transistors. 5-way switch. Got some new knobs and some pickup covers. These are tone specific single coils that sound fantastic. We're going to drop those in. Thanks to Tone Specific for sending me those about 2 years ago. They sent me a bunch of pickups to demo, and I love these things. Got a new jack output and some wiring, strap buttons. So we've got it all ready to go. Got a neck plate. So we're going to work on getting the paint applied to it today. Going to do a black. First I'm going to paint it white, and then I'm going to paint black over it, and we're going to put some racing stripes on it. I'm going to try to relic it out just a little bit. I'm not going to do any damage to the wood, just kind of relic the paint. Haven't really did a relic a while back that wasn't so great. It was okay, but this is going to be my second attempt at a relic. So I look forward to getting this thing done. It should sound great, should play great. Pretty excited, so let's get it started. Okay, so since the last shooting of the video, I've painted the guitar white, and I'm letting that dry overnight. I'm going to let it dry for 24 hours, and it's just a little bit tacky, so I got that paint drying. But I've decided in the time I'm waiting for the paint to dry, I wired up the pick guard. I've got the Tone Specific sitting over here. We got the bridge, the middle, and the neck pickup. These were some long stem pots that I had sitting around in a bin, and extra pieces here. So I got everything wired together. There's a lot of solder on them and stuff. They've been used before, but you know, they still work. They're in good condition and they're high quality. So everything is wired to spec. I've got the output jack wired right now outside of this, because the first thing you want to do, my recommendation, test this stuff before you start trying to put it in the guitar. So we're going to test it and see if my first pass of wiring worked. And got my Fender Champ sitting up here. And all right, so let's do this. Let's do this here. We're gonna plug it in. We're gonna fire up the old trusty Champ. Takes it a minute for the tubes to warm up, or the tube I should say. Move my soldering iron out of the way. I don't want to burn myself. So far I haven't burned myself today, which is usually at least once I touch it with my elbow. All right, so we've got this set. I don't know what I've got this set at. Looks like this is set up. All right, we're in the bridge position. There's a lot of buzz right now because my ground wire is right here and it's not connected. We don't have it grounded, so that's okay. But bridge, awesome. Middle, nothing. Neck, nothing. Okay. Then there's the tone. All right, tone. All right, that's working. I'm going to flip this 5-way switch. We should have bridge and middle. Let's see what we got. All right, that tone was turned down, so that thing came to life. Nothing. Cool. All right, middle position. Nothing. All right, looks good. All right. Turn the tone up a little bit. Whoop. Ah, crap. My see this happen. My soldering came loose. The soldering on this input jack solders to that. So let me turn this off. And what I'm gonna do, we'll fix that real quick. I'm gonna unplug this from the amp. Turn the amp off. I didn't really solder this very securely because I have to unplug or unsolder this input jack anyway before I install it, because it's gotta go through the body and what have you. So this is kind of a temporary setup. So let me just see if I can get this thing to stick. Come on, I just need you to stick to that thing. I tell you, getting old, it's hard to see this stuff. All right, we got it done. Cool. We just got to check this neck pickup. Turn this amp back on. Got the champ back on. Good old champ, 76 champ. All right, so we are in what position here? Let's see. We should have middle and neck. Should. And neck. Awesome, we got it. Cool. So the wiring is good. So we can basically put this aside and then work on the paint some more. The next video I shoot will show you some progress on the paint. So here's the body with the white paint on it with some Rust-Oleum gloss. Really pleased with how this body came out, and it's really shiny. I almost feel bad that I got to paint over this, because I'm going to paint black over this. I'm going to lay the pick guard on top of the guitar, and it's got the stripes on it. We're going to tape this off and tape around the back edge of the guitar, and then I'm going to tape over the back, so we'll have some racing stripes on it. One thing that I think is cool about this guitar, I'm not sure if it's because it went through a fire or what, but there's like stress cracks in this guitar, like it's been dropped or it's seen its wear. I like how this wood grain is separating a little bit. Probably could have used some wood filler and filled that in, but I think it's cool. So other than that, this body's really smooth. It was totally prepared for paint, and that gloss has dried for 24 hours, and it's great. So I'm not even gonna take steel wool to it. It's so nice right now. I mean, there's not anything gritty on it whatsoever. And I may run some quad zero steel wool over it just to get it extra smooth before I put the black on it, but it's clean. So we're gonna get that taken care of, tape it up. I'll show the tape when it's done, and then we'll spray it black. All right, so here's the stripes. I have striped the front and the back. I placed the pick guard over the top of it so I could line up these stripes, and had to paint this, or tape this body and cut the painter's tape so it mirrored the size of the stripes on the pick guard. That was kind of tough, but I got it pretty close. I'm pretty happy with it. I really like how this pick guard is popping on this white. I'm almost thinking to myself, gosh, maybe I should just leave it white. But I'm gonna go through with it, my original plan. And a lot of people have been saying, leave the body wood grain. I can always strip this paint off with my heat gun. It's not a big deal. If I decide to take the paint off of it, it'll take an hour. But let's take a look at the back. I've got the back of this thing taped up also. So this is going to be covered with a with the what'd you call it, the neck plate, so that'll be not visible. So that's it. We're gonna spray this thing black, and then we're gonna let it dry for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna peel this tape off so it doesn't, you know, stick too much to the black. I've had issues letting it dry completely and then peeling tape off, so we're gonna try that first. So peeling off painter's tape is always a scary thing. It can be weird. So we'll check back in a moment. So here's the black with the white stripe, and it looks good. I'm really pleased with how this came out. I love these lines, these lines that showed up. It was smooth with the white. These stress lines are showing up. It looks like relicing. This is what I'm hoping for. I dig it. I'm gonna sand this down just a little bit. I'm gonna wet sand it just a little bit with some fine steel wool. I am really digging these lines because I'm gonna relic this thing. I've got some special plans for it in the relic process. So I'm gonna wet sand this, and then I'm gonna spray it with poly. This is where the wood, this is actually the wood separating. Very, very cool. I like how this stripe turned out. It's clean. This paint's got a nice gloss to it. I'm gonna wet sand it to bring it out some more, and then I'm gonna poly it. And I'll come back and show what the poly looks, and then we're gonna do some special relic stuff. So still a work in progress. Okay, so the polyurethane coat has been applied. I did 2 pretty thick coats of it. It's dried for about 24 hours. It feels awesome. I really, really like how this turned out. This is gonna be a relic guitar, so I've been looking at Fender Custom Shop pictures, and I've watched time and time again a bunch of relic videos. So I'm gonna try to do this some justice and not super crazy. One thing I'm really happy about is it's this poly. I was hoping it would do this. The poly, there's like cracks that the poly, when it dried, it made that show some of this white coming through, and I like this. And I'm probably gonna wind up doing a little bit of a relic here where you can see some pick marks, and I may do a flake or 2 off of this, but the stripe looks good. And this back did the same thing. This is just where the poly has started to come apart, take the black apart from the white. I dig it, and that's what I'm looking for. Stuff like this, natural looking stuff. There's some more little piece of this came out. That's cool. But it's smooth. Everything is like super smooth. You really can't even feel this, but it looks good. But I'm gonna wet sand this down a little bit lightly with some very fine steel wool, and then I'm gonna clear coat it just to give it a little bit of a gloss, and try some various techniques to get this thing looking kind of how I envision it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself on work on this body, so I got to update the video. I clear coated this thing, and as expected, which I was very happy about, the clear coat, it always reacts with poly a little bit, and it kind of eats away at it, which is cool because I'm going for a relic. So I clear coated it, then I wet sanded it, and I wet sanded it a little bit harder than I normally would, so I would get a little bit more openings in the finish like this. So these cracks and stuff I think are so cool. I got a little bit going on down here. I got a little bit of a distress right there. That's cool. I still got a couple spaces I gotta buff out, a couple rough spots, but this body's coming out really nice. I love doing relics because you can really you can do anything you want, not worry about stuff. Happy accidents, little blemishes occur. I'm digging this little thing that came out of there just naturally. So it looks cool. So what I'm gonna do is work a little bit more on getting this body sanded down just a little bit. There's a couple spots that are rough like this. Got to get this taken care of, and now that I've got this body washed up and clean, so I can inspect the areas that I want smooth, and then I'll relic it a little bit more and take a look at it and see what we're going to do from that point. But we'll check back in a bit. Okay, the relicing has started. Took a heat gun to this thing. I had it in the freezer and took a heat gun out just to shock it, and took this initial section off. So now I'm gonna take some sandpaper and work this down to like wood, try to make this look as natural as I can. Okay, so I've been relicing for the past hour or so, and I really like this. I think this is how I'm gonna leave it, and looks pretty awesome on the back. I didn't damage the wood at all. I didn't bang it up or chip it. This is just paint relic, so this body could be brought back to just a nice piece of wood. I didn't want to damage the body. Was really careful. Gonna buff it up now and clean it. Now this thing's very dirty. Gonna clean it up and buff it with some rubbing compound and see what it looks like. So what I've got here is an orbital buffer with some rubbing compound, or polishing compound I should say, and I'm gonna buff this thing so it's really clean, and that way I can see any of the imperfections around the relicing that I've done, and make sure it's super clean. I may spray it one final time with a thin coat of poly just to have a satin seal to it, but maybe not. Okay, just updating periodically here. Got the bridge on, and this is buffed, and I put a little bit of guitar polish on it. And on the back, here we go. The bridge is basically got it setting in for right now. So I'm going to mount the pick guard in, and I'm going to solder this input jack in place. So I'm gonna put the pick guard in and get the jack bolt in place. Test the electronics one more time to make sure it works. Okay, and if it does, I'll screw the pick guard in and we'll videotape the results after that. All right, so the pick guard is on. The jack bolt and output jack are wired, and got the ground wire soldered to the claw. Now I'm going to get the neck on here and hopefully get this thing set up. This thing's ready to go almost. Here's the finished product. Got everything set up. I got the neck on it, got it tuned, and everything works great. Action is perfect. I need to get the white knobs for this. They don't quite look right with these pickup covers, but I'll replace those in just a few days. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. It feels good, it plays great, and I think it looks really cool. It's got some really hot tone specific pickups in it. We'll demo it out here in just a little bit so you can hear it. So let's take a closer look at what we did here. Took me a long time today to get this thing the way I wanted it. I looked at pictures from the Fender Custom Shop, and I drew inspiration from a few of their guitars on there, and I really tried to think about where relicing would occur if someone really played a guitar a lot and it was vintage. So I think I did a pretty decent job with it. Let me flip this thing over, we'll take a look at the back. Okay, here's the back side. I didn't put any of these scratches on this guitar. This is just how this guitar dried. It's how the poly reacted. Some of this flaking was natural. Then I took a small knife to it and a heat gun, and kind of like an artist, I just kind of worked with it all day. Took my time looking at pictures. I know a lot of people hate relics. I think they're cool, and this is just a parts guitar. In worst case scenario, I could always just peel the paint back off of this thing and get rid of it. It's an Eric Clapton body, so. One bad turn of events, the neck that got sent to me, the Mighty Might neck, was a Telecaster neck. So I sent that seller a message, their company, and told them they didn't send me the right neck. So I took, I had this Squire Neck that's in nice shape. I took the Squire and stuck it on here. So I like it. It plays really good, and it's got the rosewood fretboard. So in hindsight, I think it looks better than what the maple was going to look like on this thing. So hopefully I'll get a response from that seller and work out some kind of a deal. Okay, let's check out the way this thing sounds.